Hello and welcome to another edition of UFO in the Know. Tonight we're talking about the alleged, or actually not alleged, confirmed program to recover craft of advanced origin and non-human biologics, which was proposed to the Department of Homeland Security, or by them rather. Although this program never received funding, it's interesting if you look at what all they need or suppose they need to complete this program or carry out its task of recovering advanced craft. I forget the exact wording, but I think they're careful to not specifically use anything that sounds like alien spacecraft. And I think that was just a tactic out of OSAP that they used to kind of
AAV, Advanced Aerospace Vehicle.
Yeah, keep getting funding for this without acknowledging that it's for, UFO type stuff. The project was called Kona Blue. I'm just going to go through some interesting points that I noticed as I was reading this. So here they're talking about, right, so they have a kind of what they need to carry out this mission is they need a advanced technology center, sort of a laboratory to assess and deal with this advanced technology. They also need a consciousness center. They need experts in remote sensing in order to determine the activity and purpose of the advanced technology, especially any threat posed. So it sounds like, and I think they even list how many of these remote sensors they need to hire. If I can find it, I thought they had it.
I don't know if they specifically said how many of them they need.
But so they do need this consciousness center, but they don't list how many personnel. But it seems like remote viewing, and it seems like this has been done before. If this is like the necessary requirements that they've already gathered that they need, where did they get this information?
Here's what I gather from all this with the remote viewing. Basically, I don't think that they know. I don't think that they know where all of the craft are that are located throughout the world. I don't think that they may know where they came from. They may not know where they came from. I think that remote viewing is just a way for them to get answers that they don't already have. And what that tells me in general is that they don't understand what they have if they're using it. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't search for answers that, to questions that you already have the answer to. So that's what it feels like to me. Like I wouldn't be doing psychic stuff on it if I already knew what I was looking for. They're trying to get a deeper understanding of it through psychic means.
Well, I guess then that begs the question: then is every secret psyop thing like this need a remote viewer? Is that normal to have a remote viewer on every? Do the Navy SEALs have a remote viewer that they're like, all right, guys, let's see what the remote viewer has to say before we go in on this mission?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because, as this is becoming a little more mainstream, I watched the Sean Ryan show, and he said that he has spoke with people. I don't remember if he spoke with people, but I don't think he specifically has gone on a mission where they needed to use it, but he has spoken with other people apparently. Now, I don't want to be taking this out of context, but it seems like they have used them for special forces operations before, and it's honestly not uncommon. I wouldn't say it's like, I would say it's rare but not uncommon. Like that they have used them, and it's something that they're used to doing. But from my perspective on this particular stuff, right? First of all, if you have a highly classified program of any kind, I would imagine that you would want to use remote viewers for it just because it's cool, and you spend government money on it. Second of all, if I'm looking at this program the way that I see it, and I would tell you, since you're the one sharing the screen,
You can share yours if you like.
well, I think this would be really easy just to have you scroll down to it. Question. So it's on page. All right. It's toward the end. It's toward the end, next to justification for need, and the next page down from justification for need. I really want to point this out to the viewer. So go down all the way to the bottom. Or I can share my screen. It's up to you.
I'll let you do it.
I don't know how to do that. What do I click here? Let me see. I got
So
it.
there's a little box with an arrow in the middle of it.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Okay.
All right.
It's kind of awkward to use because you kind of have to keep switching back over in between the tabs.
All right. Is it sharing my screen?
No.
All right. Hang on. Entire screen, fool.
I was gonna mention, so remember in the 90s, the 80s, it was really common all the time to have psychics help the police, and you'd hear about it on TV all the time. Do you remember that? Like,
Yes, I do actually.
and it seemed like that stopped at some point. Like they like delegitimized it. Said no, maybe there's a law against it, or I don't know, but they just stopped doing it at some point, like saying this is not a legitimate thing to do anymore. But it seemed like it did work in some cases.
Okay, now it looks like I'm presenting pretty well, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna look here. This is further down. So this isn't exactly, I wouldn't say, the best introduction to this program. Most people in this who are interested in UFOs and other things are pretty well familiar with what Kona Blue is. It's a prospective special access program. And what they mean when they say special access program, it means that it'd be very difficult, in the government to share information from this to any other program. It would be very difficult for you to find this program. You couldn't go searching around if you had a government job and come across this top secret information, even if you were in a
Edward
top
Snowden.
secret. Yeah, even if you were Edward Snowden, this
Yeah.
would not be something that's easily found, even with high level security clearances. So, and I want to go down through this program here and point some things out because this is important to me. You come down to question number 2, which is justification for need. The very first thing that they note in their justification for need is their justification for remote vision, remote communication, and de- and rematerialization techniques to observe, communicate, retrieve data, and transfer matter across dimensional and space-time barriers will undoubtedly be of an utmost interest, if not a top collection priority, for adversarial intelligence security services. Countermeasures against such techniques would also be a collection priority. I want to take a second here and look and say, okay, I get it why you would want somebody to remotely view something. De- and rematerialization techniques.
That's pretty wild.
But those
Okay.
de- and rematerialization techniques to observe, communicate, retrieve data, and here it is, transfer matter across dimensional and space-time barriers will undoubtedly be of an utmost interest, if not a top collection priority for adversarial intelligence security services. So what I want to understand is All right, I feel like I'm on the up and up with the remote viewing. I've watched Joe McMoneagle talk for 6 hours about it. I've watched other people discuss it. I've even looked into going to the Monroe Institute to learn it. I've looked it up. Wanted to do it. I've done the Hemi Sync. I've done really well with the meditation, and I feel like if I had the opportunity to just keep going with it, I could probably get an out of body experience. But we have busy lives. But who
Yeah.
in the world is transporting things across dimensional and space time barriers?
How
Much
they
less can
even
even prove it
decide
can
that's
even prove
possible?
there isn't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, do they even know that there's a space time barrier?
Yeah. How do they know
Or
this? Get this information? Yeah,
a
that's very
dimensional
true.
barrier in which there is to cross. You haven't even proven that to me, but here we are justifying the need for it within the government. And then
Yeah.
here's the other one. This justification for need for this program. Recovered AAV, AAV stands for Advanced Aerospace Vehicle. AAV technology exists in and is accessible only within a special access program construct. So, all right, so we understand that, right? Then you get in here to point number C: retrieval and integration of historical data from high value personnel with knowledge of AAV technology and present location of recovered material is accessible only within the SAP construct. So what they're saying is you they want to be able to study and basically just be able to see and access these things. So they need a special access program to be able to do that.
Mm.
So that's pretty understandable. Undue. This is the part I wanted to get to. Undue attention by other United States government or private sector entities not involved with the program or any international interest will directly or indirectly interfere with the daily program mission and perhaps threaten the overall success of the program. That's where I really wanted to come to. All right. I want to make sure that we draw this line here. They're saying that if any undue attention by other U.S. government, so anybody else in the government or private sector not involved with the program or any international interest, will directly or indirectly interfere with the daily program mission and perhaps threaten the overall success of the program. So we're talking about a program that's been around long enough. It just hasn't been called Kona Blue, and it's apparently been around since the Roswell crash. At least we suspect it's been around that long, right?
Right. Yeah. Maybe
And they're
longer
saying, well,
because Grush said the first one was from Mussolini in the 1930s, and then we
there's no
moved on with
telling.
that one. And the only
There's no
reason he
telling.
could talk about it is because it's that's Mussolini. He's not restricted to talk about what Mussolini did. So that's probably the
Yeah,
only one he could talk about.
but let's think about it for just a second, right? This is the part I want to look at. Interfere with daily program mission and perhaps threaten the overall success of the program. From my perspective, we don't need to be funding anything like this because there has been no success of any program whatsoever. And if there has been any success at all, the only success that they've done reasonably that they've reasonably had is making sure that their fellow countrymen don't find out that this stuff exists. That's the only success that they've had, from my understanding. If there's any of this, if any of these advanced aerospace vehicles are uh, able to be piloted, if we understand any of the technology associated with them at all, mankind hasn't benefited from it, from my perspective.
Yeah.
So they're real full of themselves to say, perhaps threaten the overall success of the program. I mean, I don't see anything successful having come out of it. And then you look at this: due to the highly specialized nature of the program, overt acknowledgement of personnel involved in the program will lead to unnecessary security risks. Uh, Without proper SAP protection, the costs associated with a compromise of specific features of the program, namely those in A and B, would result in grave consequences, perhaps irreversible to the security of the United States. So I don't understand how. I mean, they can't really justify that. This irreversible to the security of the United States just because maybe somebody finds out we have UFOs. I mean, I don't see how that I don't see how that threatens our security. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but uh, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that the way that they're classifying it as if it's just some gigantic success that they've had great success with it in the past. No, they were just dumping money into it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I really wanted to bring people to. So this is something that I think a lot of people aren't aware of right here. Okay. This is basically the structure of this program. So
Yeah,
you've
what I
got,
took from this is like basically how they're using front companies to do this. There wasn't a lot of
they're not even
information
trying
about it.
hard. Like,
This is like, yeah, really simple diet, like a grade school level diagram explaining how they're going to use front companies. Yeah, the whole thing seems sketch. Like, let's go back to that materialization and space time barrier shit. Like, imagine if they had to go to Congress and ask them and explain what they're doing, ask for this. They'd be like, "Are you smoking crack? What is this new age bullshit you're trying to talk to me about? New rematerialization?" They'd be like,
they are
"What?
smoking crack.
What are you talking about?"
They are smoking crack, and but it's not for the reasons that we're talking about here. They're smoking crack because here they are. The reason that they're not sharing this with people is not because they're worried about our national security. They're doing it because anybody that's in this program has this ego because they have been allowed to know about it, like, oh, it's so super secret. We know about aliens, alien craft, and stuff like that. They've seen a lot of Hollywood, I guess, because I can't understand why. I understand why you would want to keep certain things, like say that we found one of these craft in an area that we weren't supposed to be operating in. Sure, we wouldn't disclose that information. Say that we found a weapon system in it. You know, we wouldn't want to disclose how that works and what that does to somebody else. But just coming flat out to the American people, and not just the American people, the world, and explaining that we're not alone, it's going to become, in my opinion, it's going to be a really big pain, like a birthing pain, either way. So we're either going to find out all at once
A lot
by
of people
some
probably won't
major
accept it.
catastrophe.
A lot of people
Huh?
probably a lot of people won't even accept it for a long time. They'll
Good.
just be
That's
like,
fine. That's fine. It'll take
really?
forever for them to accept it. But either way, whatever happens is natural. So let's say that, you know, you come out and you tell everybody we're not alone and these craft exist and these aliens exist. Okay, that's great. It's going to suck. The world changing over to understanding that is going to suck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that one of these crash lands or something in the center of Houston, and the news media are on it right away, and we all see it,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone finds out what it is. You think the government's going to come in and take control of the scene super fast and be able to keep everybody and all eyes and cameras off of it? No. So the world's going to find out then too. It's really going to suck when they find out that the government's been hiding this shit from them, and they're going to sit here and say, "Oh, well, this is, it's if we let other people know about it, it'll jeopardize the success of the program." Well, the program hasn't been successful at
Mm-hmm.
all. You keeping all of these great minds that exist worldwide, or at least in our own country, away from it. And that brings up another point. Let me go down here. There, all right here. Where is it at? The Advanced Technology Center. Okay, so they've got three centers. We'll go over this real quick. So here's what they proposed. They have DHS, and then they have Company X. Then Company X, it branches off into a data collection division, experimental division, medical division, and data analysis division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you come down here and you got Company Y, which then branches out to Advanced Tech Center, Consciousness Center, Integration Center. So I'm not going to go through and try to break all of this down. But what I can tell you is that the government owns companies. They own private corporations. Okay. These private corporations can then do jobs or do work, or they can contract it out to other private corporations, or they can create a private corporation like Company Y to fulfill the duties of an integration center, a consciousness center, and an advanced tech center, right? And Company X will do this job. That is the way that they compartmentalize this information to a point where, it's not even subject to FOIA because it's privatized, right?
No. Mm-mm.
So you think about that for a second. And look here, they even have this little arrow showing that DHS goes to Company Z, which then goes to Company X, which then goes to Company Y. So it's really kind of stupid the amount that they're trying to keep this thing quiet. Yeah. And what's killing me is that you would think if they'd had this stuff since Mussolini or since even since Roswell, they would have made some kind of progress on it and we would see something. But I don't think that we have. And that's why I think it's stupid at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a conspiracy, is that there's this whole secret space force that basically NASA is like a front company, and then the real, like, we've already explored the solar system with our reverse engineered spacecraft, and whether you believe that or not, I mean that's kind of one explanation for it. Because it does seem strange if they've had it for so long. What benefit have we seen from it? And I do have a comment on that, because Colonel Corso, in his book, said that basically our tiny transistors that we have today, our silicone chips, came directly from the Roswell crash. And whether you want to believe that or not, it kind of what the impression I got from that was that they do occasionally, they decided to release it slowly, and then they didn't understand what kind of impact this was going to have on society, like this super digital technology. Now this technology is just like taking over our lives, and they don't want to have some kind of, that's kind of the argument for not doing it, not releasing, is saying we don't want it to have some disastrous impact on humanity. Like if you had some super power source that could generate super infinite power, you wouldn't want anybody to have that, because make a super bomb out of it or whatnot. But so I mean, the impression too I get from this whole thing, it sounds like Elizondo. This has kind of got Elizondo's or his buddy Jay Cutler or whatever, kind of hands on it. I feel like they probably must have gotten some documents or some insight how the legacy program does this sort of job, and then they said, oh well, they're over here doing dematerializing shit in the space-time continuum. It's like, I bet we can do our own. And they decided to do their own in like little government, which is kind of like official lines of government through DHS. And he was in DIA at first, so it sounds like he made this and then passed it over to DHS, and DHS said, oh yeah, we can maybe do this, and somebody at DHS pitched it. And it sounds like somebody's already done this. Like they know that you can send a remote viewer out there, and he says, maybe he does what Greer says. He does this C5 and the aliens, they show up and then they hit them with their EMP blast or something. I don't know, and I'm just guessing, but it sounds like this is something that has been done before. Because how else would they know all this stuff? And it sounds kind of bizarre. It's like they say, oh, all this dematerializing of the space-time continuum will be at utmost importance, but they give no explanation of what that is. They know, like nobody, I don't even know what that is. Like,
So there's a few other thoughts to take away here, right? So this all looked very, it's very convincing. It does look like somebody with uh, a PhD wrote this, but or at least uh, a presentation heavy degree program, because they did a great job. So let's take 1 second here though, and thank this Richard D. McComb dude who declassified it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Also, I want to tell you what I initially thought. This was my initial thoughts on this whole thing, and I'm going to show you why.
Okay.
My initial thoughts on it were that this was a special access program that somebody associated with Harry Reid was creating so that they could gain access to advanced aerospace vehicles. So let's say that you're in the government and you understand that, and you've got all these clearances and you're ready to go, but you don't have a need to know, right? You have no need to know about UFOs. All right, and I recommend that anybody that wants to read this go download it. It's literally on the government website, the arrow.mil website.
Mm-hmm.
It's downloadable, and it could be misinformation. I doubt it is, but to go download it. But if you wanted access to advanced aerospace vehicles and you were determined to get it, what are you going to do? You're going to create a special access program and you're going to pitch it to your bosses and you're going to try to gain access. And you're going to include
Mm-hmm.
everything inside of this program that would be necessary for you to get permission to access it. And that's what I thought. So, because I came down here and I looked, and there's a lot of names in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, look, they even tell you where they're going to put it. A new 5-story, small 1 and 2 story or new 5 building 1 and 2 story complex in Las Vegas,
Oh
Nevada is
yeah.
available. They tell you
There's an
where the data.
existing one there. Look, read
Yeah,
that carefully. Like another building. The building complex is owned by. So there's some sketchy looking government building over. We could find that place. Like,
yeah, we could. I don't know if it'd still be there, but here's the way that I. All right, here's the way that here's what I was looking at. Right, so there's a lot of redacted stuff. Waiting on the computer to catch up with my mouse scrolling. Okay. All right. So we get down here, declassified by Richard McComb, memorandum for Dr. Tara O'Toole. I want everybody to remember that. From Mr. Joel Wall, Special Projects Office. Got a lot of names, dude. All
mm-hmm.
right. Here's Tara O'Toole's signature. Where is attendees? You got your attendees. You got all these people, right? Component SAP representatives. There's her name again. I don't know anything about her, but I want people to remember her name because a brief discussion was also held with DHS. Why DHS was selected to conduct this research. Okay. Harry Reid's name is mentioned in here too. That's why I came up with his
Harry
name. But
Reid is kind of
watch this.
Elizondo's big daddy money. He's the one that's keeping Elizondo funded through all his ventures, trying to basically what he got started trying to figure out the real deal about the UFOs.
So here's this chick right here. Her name was in there. Tara O'Toole, Dr. Tara O'Toole. Served as and the only reason I remember her name is because she's the first one that I looked up, and she's very easy to find online.
Okay.
Here she is. She served as the Undersecretary of Homeland Security for Science and Technology from 2009 to 2013. She is currently a senior fellow and executive vice president at InQtel. Well, let's click on her Wikipedia, which I mean, you can take that for what it is, being Wikipedia. I'm not even going to look at her background. I'm just going to click on InQtel here because this is where
Okay.
this is where This article has multiple issues. Please help improve it. It didn't have that last time. All right. InQtel, formerly Peleus, and InQIT, which is a dumb name, is an American non-for-profit venture capital based in Arlington, Virginia. It invests in companies to keep the Central Intelligence Agency and other intelligence agencies equipped with the latest in information technology in support of United States intelligence capability, which is a lot of big words just to say that they contract for the CIA, you know? All right.
Yeah.
I want you to come and look at it over here. It's going to tell you who the owner of this company is. Privately held, not for profit. Technology research, government taxpayer funded venture capital firm, right? Um, they've been around for 24 years. And Dr. Tara O'Toole is the person. She's a what did it say she was? Some kind of executive for it. And this is how I came across it. Was just googling her name. Owner CIA. This is one of those
Okay.
companies that we were just talking
Yeah.
about. It's literally owned by the CIA. You know,
This is
and you can
that
click on their
corruption
website.
at work. This is the military-industrial
Investing in
complex.
global innovation to secure the nation.
I was listening to something about basically how these people like her, they keep hopping, they go into these political positions, they stay there for a little bit, then they go to these companies, they make bank, they go back to another political position, go there for a little bit, go back and maybe the same one or another one, make bigger bank, and they just keep doing that until they
Let's take a
retire.
few minutes here to make fun of whoever made their website. I mean, it looks great until you get down here and you notice that government partnership is not capitalized. Yeah, like all these uncapitalized numbers, or letters.
Look at
It's
that,
just
looks like
such
a
a generic.
stock photo. That's not even a real
It
place,
is.
I bet. That's probably
No,
just a
this is
stock
all.
photo.
Yeah. Which I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a.
Space biotechnology. Here we do space.
As one of the
Using
earliest
retrieval.
investors in startups building satellites and rockets, IQT helped launch private space industry. Did you?
Wow.
Or are you just talking shit? Biotechnology. Engineered biology and revolutionary health technologies will transform entire economies. Nothing's going to transform any economies because they're not sharing any of the damn data that they get from any of this stuff.
No.
And they're probably not making any real legitimate gains
And they get to
in
claim
any
they're a
kind of.
nonprofit too.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Like, this is what's pissing me off is that they're not really making any gains here. Like, if they had, I feel like we would have benefited more from it. You got these people that run around here thinking that, oh, we've reversed all of these programs. We've reversed, UFO technology, and that's how we have our cellular devices, little cell phones and stuff. And if you look at the way that our technology has advanced, yeah, it's advanced very rapidly, right? But
Hmm.
um, it hasn't advanced so rapidly that the only thing that's different about technology nowadays than in the 70s is everything got smaller. They had television in the 70s. They had color television in the 70s. I'm pretty sure they had color TV in the 60s. We had telephones. We had radio communication devices. We had everything that we have now. Um, it's all the same stuff that we had back then. Basically, it's just gotten
Well,
smaller.
yeah, what's changed
Handheld,
is the amount of
battery power.
transistors you can cram into a smaller and smaller space, making more powerful computers in a smaller space, and that's just what's changed radically. That's been doubled almost every year, predictably, until we
Yeah,
haven't had a threshold of how many we can fit in there. But now they're like at a quantum scale. They're so
yeah, because
small.
we just keep making bigger microscopes. You can see smaller and smaller and build tinier and tinier things. And to be fair, that's probably way oversimplified, but it's not that damn impressive. You know, the problem is a lot of people are extremely impressed by this stuff, and I'm impressed by technology too. I'm not a
Oh, it's
genius or a
got
guru.
impressively small. It's gotten
Yeah,
ridiculously.
yeah, but the thing is, for me, is like, okay, I'm not so wowed by it that it's magic and it must have been
No,
reverse engineered from a UFO. That's
yeah.
and that's what I think is the problem, is that people think that, they believe that, but it's probably not true. What's more likely to be true is that we haven't learned anything from these craft. We don't really know what's going on with them. We have no idea what all their capabilities are,
We
and
might
they
be
haven't
finding
allowed the broader.
something though.
Maybe. I mean, that's not an unfair statement, but I don't feel like they've incorporated it into our lives. And on top of that, additionally, like think about it like this: if they if they had learned about more about them, and we'd see more of it being applied in our military and things like that. We really haven't. I mean, we were both in the military. I recently worked for the government and on military ships all the way back in 2020. I mean, that's not that far back, and everything still looked like it was from the 1980s. It always does,
Well, and the
always has.
CBSR equipment was pretty clunky junky. It was.
Bro, I, I was on the USS Mount Whitney. Now they've been upgraded since I was on there, and I wasn't allowed into the rooms where the radars are and things like that. I was a merchant marine, but I was on the bridge of that ship, and it was still the same bridge at the time as it was in like 1979 or 74, or however old that ship was. All the stuff was reasonably the same stuff, and everything looked like it was all CB equipment.
Yeah.
That's the command ship, the
Well,
Sixth Fleet flagship NATO command ship for the entire Sixth Fleet. So
I think that kind of feeds a conspiracy here that maybe we are getting all the clunky junky stuff, while the secret squirrel special assets dudes, those are the guys getting the top of the line James Bond secret gadgets and stuff. Those are the guys that see that, and we don't. We just get old clunky junky thing in the box. It's been sitting in the box collecting dust, and
let me go there too with my opinion on that. I think a lot of people expect the government to be able to do what they do in Hollywood, but and I'm not saying they can't do amazing stuff, because they're allowed to do stuff that would be illegal for me and you to do. We'd get arrested if we did it, but the government's allowed to do it. But all right, the Secret Service, one of the most premier intelligence agencies or personal protection agencies in the United States, somebody that you would expect to be
yeah, they might
shit
have
hot.
access to the
No, no, they have.
agent gear.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why I don't think so. We just had, Donald Trump just got shot in the ear, in the head. Technically, that's all head territory there. He just got shot.
Like
Guy was going.
that was thing. The whole thing was sketch. It seemed like they were kind of acting dumb. Like,
Bro, they looked dumb. So and here's where I'm going with that. That whole agency was just embarrassed to its core. With the way that those agents were trying to holster their weapons. We did better training than what they did on the ground there when we were.
top of the line.
Yeah, CBs did better high value target training. Like we had high value VIP training that we did way better than what they did, and that's the Secret Service. But I want to point out that they were embarrassed, like to their core, with that, right? And they had to answer to Congress for it. Well, now there was just a second attempt where shots were fired on a golf course, and it turns out that we're finding out that the shooter on the golf course after Trump had been there for 12 hours before they found him. So I want to say that, an agency that's already been embarrassed, you would think, regardless of whether or not there's a conspiracy, they'd be on their top game and showing the American people that they can, and our enemies, that they can even protect our presidents to begin with.
Yeah.
Is now allowed a man with a freaking rifle, or I
Yeah,
don't
I
know what
thought
he
they
had.
had to like sweep out every area the president goes to, basically. Like
Bro, I thought they went in and killed all the dogs.
Yeah, they did a security perimeter search everywhere he goes, basically, and they did a plan. Like he's basically got like sniper cover maybe not, but he's
No, you're correct for assuming that, because that's what we've been sold. But like, obviously we've been sold a lie, because now this embarrassed failure of an agency that we see has now failed. And he's a former president. He doesn't have nuclear codes anymore. I get that, but still, your agency just failed on the world stage in front of our own enemies. Like all of our enemies see that now. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, you turn around and he's out here golfing, and you're assigned to protect him. You're protecting him, and the shooter's been there for 12 hours.
Yeah.
You would think just a quick
Or
scan with
situational
thermal optics.
awareness.
Yeah,
You know
thermal
what they
optics
say?
scanning the area, you would see somebody
Situational
in.
awareness. You gotta be aware of everything that's going on in your
It just goes to
surroundings.
show that they're not using that technology for that. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the other thing: if Donald Trump gets assassinated now before the election, and the Secret Service allows it at this point, or even if he had on the golf course, the American people would just be really pissed. I think even the people who didn't like Donald Trump would be
Yeah,
like, "What the hell is
it,
wrong with our Secret Service?"
it'd be
That is not.
clearly suspicious.
Yeah,
So
no, that people would know what's up. I mean,
yeah,
people aren't stupid. And from my perspective, that it's just a big failure. So I think a lot of people believe that the government has capabilities that they don't have based upon what they see on in the movies, and that applies to this program too, right?
mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like this program has got there's a lot of stuff here that's been declassified. Like this whole thing, it mentions a lot of stuff. It's obviously genuine, but it it mentions a lot of stuff, and that's why it makes me feel like either two things here: either somebody that either somebody went through this and knew what they were trying to inherit. They were trying to inherit a program,
Mm-hmm.
or they were they're either trying to inherit a program or trying to gain access to the program. By creating this,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because we either have the ability to do exactly what we said or what they said here. Where let me go back up here. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, it
That's
sounds like they had to have modeled this off of another similar thing like this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Like it seems like that. Like they would have to have modeled it. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and let you go back to it. Uh, yeah, no, it seems to me like they either modeled it off of another one or they're doing what they think another one is doing to gain access to it. And it could be just as simple as that.
Right.
I don't know. I just wanted to give my opinion on it, and I wanted to show everybody exactly how they take these companies, these like InQtel and things like that, and use it to disguise where our tax
UFO
dollars.
issue aside, they're telling us how they basically structure their corruption. Like, in no way should they even be asking for that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like they're asking for that, and then they're creating shell companies. Those companies are not. So I want everybody to be clear. Those companies are not to keep that. That is not designed to keep that information out of enemy hands, or other countries' hands. That stuff is designed to keep it out of our hands, to keep us not knowing
Right.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason to classify something at that level is to make sure nobody can find out about it. And the word nobody includes the American citizen.
Yeah, they flat out
So
said, like, hey, you can't tell anybody in the government. You can't tell, this would
nobody.
jeopardize America's safety entirely.
How?
Yeah.
Explain to me how it's gonna jeopardize our safety. Now, if we've had it, especially if we've had it with, in my opinion, no breakthroughs. All right, no breakthroughs on the technology front. If we had breakthroughs, let's say that people are saying that these things can go completely invisible. They're saying that they're transmedium, that they
Mm-hmm.
can fly at speeds that we can't even comprehend. And you're telling me that none of our military aircraft do any of that. None of them do any of that. That's telling me that there's been no scientific breakthrough. I mean, like, if you can't do one of those three things, then there's been no scientific breakthrough, in my opinion.
Well,
And
have
yeah,
you
but I
heard of
mean,
the TR-3B?
uh,
That's the alleged reverse engineered craft. I'm just gonna show you this
pull it
TR-3B,
up.
and I'll wrap it up because I don't want to take too long on this one. We've already. I'm gonna show you the TR-3B. Okay, well, let me just share that part of my screen. So here's some images of what. So the TR-3B comes from a sketch that was on the wall at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works factory or whatever, their lab. And whether they actually built it or not, we don't know for sure. But it looks something like this. It was like this triangle with these lights underneath it, like 3 or 4 lights sometimes. It kind of people say it looks similar to like the stealth fighter, except it was just like a flat out triangle. But that's what people are saying is what we have in secret somewhere. Somebody has these, and that's the old model that's from like the 80s or something, that story. And
I mean, people have seen and at least claim to have seen triangular shaped
yeah,
UFOs, and
it's
there've
not
been
an
enough.
uncommon sighting to have had
Yeah,
for as far as UFO sightings go.
triangular, cigar shaped, and circular are
The
all pretty
saucer,
common.
yeah.
Yeah, but man, like honestly, okay, all right. Let's point this out. I think America has what 14 aircraft carriers, and I think the next nation close to us has 2. We have more than the rest of the world combined. And but you want to tell me we got this thing that's anti gravity? You know what I mean? They can do all this amazing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Uh, now there may be some technology out there that does some absolutely strange scientific shit, like defies the laws of gravity. But we I mean, unless we have some way of altering the gravity around us, we're not going to be pulling that many G's as a human.
Well, that's what they say it does. It creates this bubble of gravity, and it just creates its own.
Well,
Just like a giant planet creates gravity, it creates gravity with energy. So it creates this bubble of gravity that basically, to itself, it looks like it's going really slow, but to us, it's going very fast. And because their time is different relative to us. Because they're in their, gravity warps time as well, so that time is relatively different to them. And that's what the story about these shapes, it has to have these certain shapes because the triangle one has 3 different warp bubbles that encapsulate it. The saucer has 1 bubble. The Tic Tac maybe has 2, or the cigar ones maybe have 2. And you can have giant ones like the Phoenix lights. The Phoenix lights ship. It had lights all going across it. And so they say you just need to have enough to encapsulate the whole ship in these warp bubbles, and that's what makes it function. But I wanted to go back to this point about the psychics. I was talking about, so in the 90s, it was really common to see psychics on TV solving crimes. Maybe it was just a fad, I don't know. But I felt like people were actually doing this. Police departments were actually doing this at one point and having some success with it. And I wonder, maybe this is like some kind of secret CIA conspiracy where they said, no, we can't have anybody else using psychics. We're the only ones that get to use psychics now. So we're going to tell everybody else, just like we kind of ridiculed this UFO topic, we're going to ridicule the psychic topic. So people think it's all ridiculous, and we get to keep the psychics for ourselves. That's just a
Yeah,
conspiracy theory.
I could see that though. I could really see that,
And it,
because
and it
it's
kind of ties
danger.
into this. You've heard of like fluoride in the drinking water stuff. So they
Yeah,
say the fluoride in the drinking water, what it does is it messes with our pineal gland, which like creates DMT in our brains and like makes us have like a psychic experience. And so they're trying to stop us from having a psychic experience so we don't awaken and like come out of our bodies and look around. It's like, what the fuck? There's aliens there all over, and we'll go see what they're doing in Dulce, New Mexico underground, and everybody will be pissed. And I don't know, but this is just a
I don't
conspiracy
know,
theory,
man.
spitballing.
I think I think that I don't think a little bit of fluoride is going to keep us from having a psychic experience, But
Mm.
I will say there is some merit to what you're saying about them not wanting people exploring the realm of psychic possibilities, because they clearly said that right there in the Kona Blue document, where they were saying that it would be of great interest to other countries and people like that. It's really against their policy, in my opinion, to have the general public engaged in the same things that they're engaged in.
Yeah,
And
it sounds like
compromise them.
they're in touch with this whole other realm of science that we don't know about, like this rematerialization stuff and space time continuum. Nobody, like, that's all sci fi stuff as far as anybody else is concerned. Like, nobody, I don't know that anybody's, like, seriously studying that or knows anything
Well,
about that all I know.
let, let me tell you a few things. All right, this is where I stand on it. I believe in remote viewing. I believe that it's good, it's viable. I don't think that there's a gigantic success rate with it. I mean, it's obviously not. It's not in the high percentages, like 80% success rate or anything like that. I feel like it's probably around the 30 or 40% success rate. I mean, there's been enough success that people believe in it, but I don't think there's been enough success in it that it's widely used. But additionally, like, where were we at with this?
This sort of psychic cover up.
Yeah, I think that if you notice that you're saying that you think that they're in touch with this whole other side of science that we don't have access to, you may be right. They may have access to something we don't have access to, but let's be real, they're not in touch with it. If they were in touch with it, if they really had this black triangle UFO, we'd have a fleet of them. We'd be out there, putting freedom UFOs all around the world. Once we built an aircraft carrier, we
Yeah.
didn't just build one. We built 14 of them. We can threaten genuinely 14 different nations with it. And we're not even talking about our submarines. We're just talking about the aircraft carriers themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, it
You know
kind
what
of
I'm
seems
saying?
like our military doesn't even really need all that shit, but
No,
maybe
and we,
that's.
we may or may not, but we do need, if we have access to and are able to reverse engineer, which we're not, these craft to this
Mhm.
point, we would have a fleet of them.
Well,
We'd be out there spreading freedom worldwide, baby. We're not doing that. You know
I
what I mean?
I think kind of the conspiracy goes too that Russia and China may have something too, and they all don't know what they have, and so they're all kind of just staring each other down, like waiting for each other to pull the gun. And the first person that does it is, that'd be a horrible war if they have UFO weapons, but uh, they don't they don't want to reveal their hand first, like in World War II when they dropped the nuke. They arguably could have got away with not doing it, right? But once they did it, the cat
Yeah,
was out of the bag. Everybody knew what that was, learned what that was, and learned how that was possible. And ultimately, Russia stole it. And so
yeah,
that was kind of also the reason why so much secrecy was allowed and built for this program, this a legacy program, is because they said, okay, well, that super secret program we had to build the nuke, that was pretty successful for a while about not letting people know. Well, somebody found out, so now we need an even more secret program. And now you need to just like if somebody is gonna whistleblow, we're just gonna shoot him now. Like end of story. Like and that's probably what they did. Maybe it's at one point. It sounds like.
Well, here's the way that I feel about it, right? Okay, so this is the way I feel about it. First of all, during the Manhattan Project, when they were making the atomic bomb, Russia knew about it before Japan knew about it, before they blew up, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they knew about, or they knew about it. You know what I'm saying? Like they already had people finding out about it. So if they have these special access programs and stuff, and we're finding out about it from Lou Elizondo and other whistleblowers like David Grush, then they already know more than we do. These people with you know uh, national intelligence agencies, they have the entire state behind them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They know more than we do. First of all, but second of all, I don't think China has anything. If China's a vast place, they probably have UFOs crashed all over the place, but I don't think that they have their house in order. They just recently became considered a superpower, basically just because of their economics and the fact that they have enough people to march all the way around the world. Those are the only reasons I think that they're a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have nuclear technology now, but that's it. They're not. They Militarily, I don't think they can. I think we would roll them up in a month and a half. You know what I'm saying? Russia doesn't even have an aircraft carrier. They have one, and it breaks down everywhere they go. We
Yeah,
got 14.
their
China has
airplanes probably
maybe two.
shit now.
Oh yeah, yeah. The only thing they have that really threatens us are ICBMs and submarines. You know
And
what I
their
mean?
army's full of convicts and drug addicts and probably homeless bums, probably. At the
Yeah, they couldn't even handle the invasion. I feel like I could have infiltrated and invaded Ukraine by myself better than they did. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. You give me access to the military, and I'll motivate them and invade the country for you. But I think they just did a really terrible job on that. I think everybody knows they did a really terrible job doing it.
Yeah,
Um,
their military is an embarrassment. There's a,
yeah, I mean, let's be fair. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Almost everybody over in Europe's military is an embarrassment compared to ours, and that's just from
yeah.
what I've seen. I mean, they may be very proud of their militaries, and they should be. But uh, but but I think that they're toe to toe. The American military is the best. But at the end of the day, though, we're the best for a reason. We put a big budget towards things. We always have emerging technologies, and I mean, even our old technology is better than their new technologies in other countries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that if we had access to these UFOs, the first people that would have it would be the Pentagon. They would be using it for something. You know what I mean? And here's another thing that kills me too, right? If these other countries have this technology, they're not showing their hand either.
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. I feel like this is all either part of disclosure or it's all part of a plan for disclosure, or it's uh, it's just they've slipped up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's either genuine disclosure or it's some kind of disingenuine, like kind of trying to get ahead of the story, right? They're trying to say, oh, okay, yeah, there's aliens here, but they're a threat, and you need our help to protect you from them. So you need to give us
I
more
wish they
money.
would. You know,
Yeah,
I wish they would say that. You know,
right.
like,
So we need
like,
an even bigger budget because now we need to build alien super laser weapons to fight the aliens. So
bro, I'm down with that. That's the thing. Like, I'm cool with that. If you come out and you tell me, bro, we got flying saucers, right? We
hmm
have flying saucers. We need all of the intelligent scientific people we can get, and we need all the money we can get so we can learn how to fly flying saucers. In my lifetime,
it should be a
I'm cool with that.
worldwide effort. If there's a
I'm,
real threat to humanity, it should be a worldwide effort to protect us.
We could become the United Countries of Earth. You know what I mean? Instead of voting on the president of the United States, we could be voting on the
Just like
president of Earth.
Ronald Reagan said, if we only had some kind of otherworldly threat, then all our worldly problems would seem to vanish. Something like along the lines of that.
If we have an otherworldly threat, the only thing I pray is that it's aliens and it's not a damn like an asteroid. Like if it's an asteroid, we're fucked, right? But if it's
We
alien,
have ways to take out asteroids. Still, we would shoot some nukes at them.
bro, that's like an IED, bro. It's like you don't know if you're gonna die or not. With aliens, bro, we'd get to go to war. I want to go back to war, but we get to go to war with like laser weapons and shit.
I
And
would. I mean, what if that's the story though? That what if it's disingenuous? What if there's no real alien attack? What if the aliens are good guys and the real bad guys are is the military that has these reverse engineered UFOs that's gonna pop out in these scary suits and go blah.
I don't know, man. I think what the big problem is that one of the big problems is they're trying to find a way to say that this is a compromise. This is a threat to national security. Okay, I can get behind some of that. Some of the other things, though, I also think that the first one to show their hand in it, the first one to say that we have this technology and that we have, we know that these beings are there, they're going to be the first ones with a say in anything that happens going forward. They become the subject matter expert on the world stage.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, they think that we're not going to be able to take it. We're not going to be able to process this information correctly, and it's going to mess up world religions, cause chaos. That's natural. That's natural. Okay, so
Well, I think there's another element to this, so I've heard out there, like in the Laius Lewis Elizondo, I think may have said this, or somebody else said this, that the truth is indigestible. That whatever this thing's relationship to us is somehow not good.
incomprehensible.
Like I've heard people say like these things are like literally demons. Like people have had visions of. Well, the last thing I heard was Charles Manson's son had a vision. He said he clearly saw lizard people aliens pouring acid on somebody's face and melting it off and like laughing. And there I've heard other things similar to that.
I want to visit this real quick and say that was Charles Manson's son. So
Yeah.
I don't expect a whole lot of.
And Charles Manson's son, his brain got messed up because his mother did too many LSD hits while she was pregnant, and he's kind of messed up. But he says he saw that as plain as day. And
I would see that as plain as day too if my mom did LSD while I was in the womb.
Yeah. I mean, that's not. I've heard other similar things along the lines of these things being like demons, or being the trickster, or like Jacques Lallet says, like this may not even be a bunch of aliens. This may be one thing that is like just fucking with us and just showing us all this shit. And like before, it used to look like elves, and before it looked like something else in the past. But maybe it looked like angels and demons at one point to people. And it's just like, I don't know, messing with us for some reason. It gets some pleasure out of just toying with us, or pleasure out of our suffering. I don't know. But
bro, if it's flying around individual craft, that's the thing that I'm looking at. It's flying around individual craft somehow. Multiple crashes, multiple different types of craft, multiple witnesses. Whatever these beings are, it really doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter how indigestible or incomprehensible the information is. It's all, if it exists in the same universe as us, it's natural. It's natural for us to find out about it. It's natural for us to be curious about it. It's natural for us to know about it. And then It's just like people act like, oh, we're destroying the earth. Well, guess what? We're here on the earth. We're part of the earth. Whatever we do to the earth is natural. I'm not
Mhm.
saying, that we should destroy the earth, but it's all part of nature taking its course. Evolution, anything that's going on, all of this is natural. So if there's something natural out there in our universe, we need to know about it. I think we have the right to know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, maybe the truth is devastating. Like, I've heard things about them being interested in our souls. Whitley Strieber said this recently in his interview that some of them do actually want to capture our souls and use them for whatever purpose. He said it's not good, whatever they want them for. Just some, I've heard strange talks like that. That that's towards the scary side of things when you start talking about this. Like I don't want to get my soul taken by an alien, trapped in this
No,
just to mess with it. I don't I don't know.
but not knowing about it isn't going to prevent that from happening.
No, better
So
I know.
yeah, I mean, like think about it. Like not knowing about it's not going to, people will learn to deal with it. But anyways, we've been going for a minute, man. We should probably call this one.
Yeah, yeah. Let's wrap it up. This is a good talk about the Kona Blue report, which kind of went on a tangent here, but as we always do, we kind of just go with the flow with the conversation takes us. So I'm gonna bid you adieu and wish you a good night. And
Yeah, you too.
thanks for tuning in. And see you later on UFO in the Know.